Hi everybody. This is Kathleen. I'm in my happy place at my local McDonald's. I actually worked as a dishwasher here in 2015. So I've been posting these videos as a journal to try and recover from the trauma of watching my little brother Paul Kierans, 64, with Down syndrome, that I grew up with and that I lived within 30 kilometers of him for 35 years. He was locked up in his group home by the BC New Democratic Party government. That's David Eby, the self-appointed leader and the leader of the BC New Democratic Party government. So they terminated my visits with Paul and his ability to visit me in my home when I complained to the Burnaby RCMP after I discovered that the government had created a secret, forged and fraudulent power of attorney over Paul, appointing my 82-year-old Catholic nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario as his guardian. They did that so they could give him the COVID-19 shot on February 6th of 2021. So when I complained to the police, they terminated my visit. They didn't wait to find out what the police did. And unfortunately, what the Burnaby RCMP did do, the woman and constable that I spoke to went to the group home and tipped them off that I'd complained. She said that she was going to subpoena the original of this power of attorney and interview the witnesses. She didn't do either of those things. She just tipped them off, and they terminated my visits with him. I fought to the Supreme Court of Canada twice, trying to restore his visits. He had some kind of brain incident on April 13th of 2024, after I lost my second time at the Court of Appeal of British Columbia, 13 days after the judge dismissed my application to be appointed his guardian. Paul was dead. I believe that my sister ordered his oxygen mask he had some kind of stroke or brain incident. He had a wound on the side of his head that was oozing blood, but they said he had a stroke. And when she found out that I knew that she was being investigated by the RCMP for the secret fraudulent and forged power of attorney, she ordered that my brother's oxygen mask be removed. He was at Burnaby Hospital, and that he be sedated to death. So he was murdered right in front of me. And I wrote the hospital social worker a letter saying I thought he was being over-sedated. I complained to the charge nurse. I did everything I could think of. Can you imagine watching your last surviving family member, your little brother, be murdered right in front of you? Which leads into my other topic for today. I just wanted to briefly talk about Donald Trump has, again, he said he's made it very clear that he intends to make Canada the 51st state, and he's going to use economic sanctions to try and effect that goal. It's the most shocking thing. I'm almost 70. It's the most shocking thing I've personally heard in my lifetime. But I've warned people for 3 years when I found out. I was trained as a lawyer and I practiced law for 16 years. And when I found out that the government had expanded its euthanasia program to kill people who are not dying, people who are just suffering from some kind of discomfort, irremediable discomfort, they offer as a form of medical care to kill them. And the people that they mostly killing are disabled people and impoverished people. There's no tech giants being killed by the government of Canada. And I was a divorce lawyer, so I know what's necessary to get a divorce in Canada. And it takes about a year It's a lot of paperwork, and most divorce applications are bumped. The court staff takes pride in bumping irregular divorce applications. So about 50% of the time, your divorce won't go through on the first time. So you have to keep on applying. And then ultimately, it has to be signed off by a judge, a superior court judge. It's a federal act. But with this euthanasia, all that it takes is 2 signatures from any two self-appointed medical people, a doctor or a nurse. They don't need to know the patient. They don't need to know them at all. And it's not assisted suicide, it's murder. They take a chemical and inject it into the arm of the person and kill them. And Canada, you'd be amazed to hear, Canada has killed 60,000 Canadian citizens this way. 60,000. That's more than 20 every single day. 5 out of every 100 deaths in Canada is an extrajudicial killing of the state, of the human being. And Canada does not have the best medical system in the world, that's for sure. We lag far behind the United States, although they have a more complicated payment system. But it's not that offering to kill people has made our medical care any better. In fact, I think it's made it worse. I think that the doctor that killed my brother was easily talked into it. My brother looked, obviously profoundly disabled, and he had suffered a further brain injury. And the doctor, I could just see the look in his eye, the gleam. People like to kill people. I know you don't understand it, and most people don't understand it, but there's a certain kind of psychopath that it's a thrill to kill others. And I think that's the case with Justin Trudeau. This is his little pet project, his claim to fame. It's killing people. He's presided over 60,000 deaths of Canadians since he came to power on October 19th of 2015. And I've warned people, as soon as I looked into this and I could see the guardrails have completely flown off, that there's no judicial oversight at all, that people are being killed willy-nilly. I watched my brother be killed before my very eyes. That I warned people. I've been warning you. I used to post a video every day about this until YouTube vaporized the channel that I was posting the videos. But I warned you that other countries will use this as an excuse to invade Canada and to appropriate the riches that we have. We should be the richest country on earth with all the precious metals and hydroelectric power and oil and the brain power that we have. We should be the richest country on earth, and we've fallen to have a lower GDP than Mississippi. The most productive and prosperous province in Canada is Ontario. And Ontario has a lower GDP than Mississippi, the poorest state in the 50 states of the United States. But I've warned you over and over and over again that greedy people will use this murder of the most vulnerable as an excuse to invade Canada. That's exactly what happened in 10 years, in the last 80 years, when the Allies invaded, occupied Europe, because Hitler was killing vulnerable people on an industrial scale. Now Canada is killing vulnerable people on an industrial scale. When Margaret Mead, who's the most famous anthropologist of all time, she was asked, how did you know? How can we tell when Homo sapiens became human? She said about 50,000 years ago, they've got skulls that show the healing of the skull from a point when the person couldn't have possibly survived on their own. So that meant that the people, the community around that individual 50,000 years ago cared for that individual long enough for the skull to heal. And she said that was the start of humanity. of civilization. So in terms of what's happening in the news, there's probably the most important court hearing of our life is coming up the day after tomorrow in the Supreme Court of Canada. It's going to be the Federal Court of Canada is going to hold a special hearing in the Supreme Court building in Ottawa. And the hearing is going to be on whether or not the Governor General of Canada, Mary Simons, overstepped her authority by proroguing Parliament for 11 weeks. No Parliament in Canada, so that the Liberals can get their guns and their ducks in a row and get organized and elect somebody to replace the Justin Trudeau, that evil dictator. So there's going to be a very important hearing where the Chief Justice of the Federal Court of Canada is going to decide whether or not Justin Trudeau had the right to shut down our Parliament, our government, our decision makers, so that he could have the Liberal Party organize themselves and hire a different tyrant to take over. And I've heard gossip that what they're planning on doing is appointing Mark Carney as the replacement for Justin Trudeau, and then there won't be another election until October of 2026. You think it's going to be October of 2025 because of the legislation brought in by Stephen Harper? No. With the Liberals, once they get Mark Carney in there, and he may prorogue Parliament that whole time. So one of the most important hearings in our court hearings in our lifetime is going to be taking place on February 13th, the day after tomorrow. So you can email the federal court. I've already emailed the federal court and told them my great-grandfather's law partner was Sir John A. Macdonald, the man who cobbled together this wonderful country we call Canada, and which that evil Justin Trudeau has just driven into the ground. That evil, evil man. And with his little pet project of euthanasia that has made the rest of, you don't watch, but the rest of the world is revolted by Canada. We have by far the highest rate of extrajudicial killing of innocent and vulnerable people. Haiti looks down on us. Anyways, so that's it for today. Make sure that you email the Federal Court of Canada and ask them to rule that Justin Trudeau and Governor General Mary Simons, she had one bloody job, and she blew it. And I just noticed that Buffy St. Marie has had her Order of Canada taken away. Buffy St. Marie was apparently, they say, was an Italian from the Bronx. Buffy St. Marie would have been better than Mary Simons doing Justin Trudeau, the evil creep's bidding. Anyway, so email, take you 3 minutes to email the Federal Court of Canada and tell them how strongly you feel that the prorogation of Parliament should end and Parliament should be reconstituted immediately. Take care, everybody. I love you all.